All right, we're here in John's kitchen today, and we're going to be making something special. I got my two grandkids here. I got Johnny 5, and I got Luciana. Do you know what we're going to make today?
Eggplant Parmesan.
That's right. Can you say that?
Eggplant Parmesan.
Is that a good thing? Good job. All right, so the first thing we got to do is we got to prep the eggplant before we cook it, and we're going to cut the ends off. And then we're going to cut about 1/2-inch slices. See how thick Papa's making it?
Yep.
Okay, so now I want you to try cutting it. I'm going to help you. Don't do this at home. Right there, perfect. Perfect.
Papa, one fell off the side.
Okay, we'll get that one. Lucy's turn. Lucy's going to cut for us too.
And then can we eat the
Good job. Want to try another one? Okay.
I'll try one more.
So what we're going to do is we're going to line all of these up in this colander here.
Can I keep this?
And we are going to put some salt on it. We're going to create layers, salt, more layers, salt. And then we're going to take this dish and we're going to put it on top. And what we're going to do is put this jar on top of it to squeeze all the juices out. And that will allow this to cook without soaking up all the grease, and you'll get a much more tastier dish. So stay tuned. We'll be back with you on the finishing touches, making this eggplant parmesan with Johnny 5 and Lucy.
Papa, can you move?
Say eggplant.
Eggplant!
Parmesan.
Parmesan! Papa, can you move the knife? Alright. Goodbye.
We're back with John's kitchen, but we're on location today because we're actually at Johnny 5 and Lucy's kitchen today, right? And we got a lot of stuff to make here. So real quick, last night we did the eggplant preparation for you. We sliced it up, we added the salt, and then we compressed it. And you can see all of the liquid that has now come out of the eggplant. This will make it much more healthier when you're frying it or if you're baking it so it's not absorbing all the grease. So we're going to put that to the side. We'll get to that in a minute. Right now, we're going to start making our meatballs. So we've got our helpers here today. I want you to add our 1/4 cup of onion. Go ahead, you can dump that all in. Lucy, you can dump in the garlic. We've got 3 garlic cloves. Good job. And then we've got all of our spices in here. You want to sprinkle the spices around, toss it. I'll tell you what we got in there. We got a tablespoon of salt. We've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1/4 cup of fresh parsley, but I use the dry parsley, so you cut that back to 2 tablespoons, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil, and a 1/4 teaspoon of dried mint. So now we've got all of our ingredients in there, and we've got to add our breadcrumbs. So we've got a 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs, Italian seasoned, and a 1/2 cup of regular breadcrumbs. Can you dump that in there? Perfect. All right, now we've got a 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. Very good. And last but not least, we've got 2 more ingredients. We've got to add our milk. We've got a 1/2 cup of milk. And we're going to add 4 eggs, and we're going to mix this all up, and we'll be back to show you how they look. Ready to make the meatballs?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so we're back now. We've got all our ingredients in. We got the eggs added, the milk, the breadcrumbs, and all the spices. So, you ready? Let's dig in. Start mixing. Squeeze, squeeze. Get your hands in there. Over here, squeeze in here.
I'm squeezing the
Hey, hey, keep it in the bowl.
I know.
There you go. Don't be rough. That's it. Just squeeze it, mix it all together. Perfect.
And then I said this, we have to wash our hands.
Yeah. All right, so I added 2 pounds of ground beef and 1 pound of ground turkey. And the reason I add the turkey is just to cut back on the fat content. When you actually do prepare or cook the meatballs before putting them in the sauce, best thing you can do is either pan fry them, which is traditionally the way to do it, but you're adding more grease to the sauce, or you can put them in the microwave. But I've given up that process too because, yeah, it's quick. You don't have to fry it and dirty the stove, but they come out rubbery. So the best thing to do is actually bake them. If you bake them in the oven at 350, They get nice and browned. You don't have to cook them all the way, just enough to firm so that they don't fall apart in the sauce. All right, we're ready to start making the meatballs. We'll be back when we're adding them to the sauce.
Yeah, now we have to wash our hands.
Yes, you can go wash your hands.
Go wash them. Go wash them.
Okay, so now here's our finished meatballs that our Chef Johnny 5, and our Chef Luciana made these beautiful meatballs. Now we're going to bake them in the oven. They'll be ready. We're going to start the sauce, and then we add them to the sauce so that they don't crumble. All right, we'll catch you in a minute. Ready? Okay, so we're ready to start making our sauce. So we're going to start with about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and you want to coat that on the bottom of the pan. I got to tell you, this is the best secret if you haven't known. This is a heat diffuser. If you never want to burn your sauce, you need to get one of these. Guaranteed to make your sauce burn-free every time. Start our heat. Now we're going to saute and brown our garlic and onions. Now some people like to put in their whole smash. That's fine. If you want to do that, you can just put it on a toothpick so you can find it. Or I like to dice it all up so it's nice and fine. So we're going to add this so we can saute it. And then we've got a small onion that we've diced up. John, can you pour that in the sauce? Perfect. Okay, now we're going to saute that. Now we're going to stir this up and we're going to saute it. Get them nice and browned, wet, wilted. And then we're going to add our sauce. Cook that up. We've got our spices all set. We've got Parmesan cheese, we've got salt, we've got basil, we've got oregano, a little garlic powder, onion powder, and then we'll add that once we start adding our sauce. But the key I want to tell you too is to make the best sauce, you really want to use the San Marzano tomatoes. They give you the best flavorful sauce. If you can't, stick with Hunt's at least. Hunt's makes a great sauce. All right, we will be back. All right, now that we got all of the onions and garlic sauteed, now we've added our sauce. And Master Chef Johnny 5 is stirring the sauce. The key is on the sauce, you always have to stir it about every 20 minutes because you really want to make sure that you're getting everything turned over in the saucepan, otherwise everything settles. Right, Luz? All right, so now we're ready to make, while the sauce is starting to cook, we're ready to make our eggplant parm. So we have to get any of the surface moisture off, just patting it between paper towels, because as you can see, there's still a lot of moisture on there. And we don't want that to affect the cooking and be soggy. You want to try doing that for Papa? So you kind of just like pat it and get the moisture off. So then we take our eggplant, we dip it into the egg mixture. I just got egg with a little bit of milk, salt and pepper, and now we're going to put it into the breadcrumbs. We'll bread it. I've got half panko, half regular Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. And that's it. Now we'll put these in a baking casserole dish and we'll bake them in the oven and we'll have that for dinner tonight. So we'll catch you in a few as we finish the product. All right, 12 minutes in the oven. The meatballs are cooked. And you can see all the grease and the fat that's cooking off of it. If you cook them directly in the sauce, which a lot of people do, all of that fat and grease is going in the sauce. So now we're going to let these cool down a bit. We'll let that fat harden up, and then we'll put these in the sauce to cook. All right, so now we're breading it. So now you got to take it, stick it with the fork, and then let it drip off until it stops dripping. Shake it a little bit. Now we're going to dump it into the breadcrumbs. Okay, now you can put the fork down, come over here, and now you can take the breadcrumbs with the fork and coat over the top.
That's what I was going to do.
Okay, smash it down a little bit lightly, and then pick it up and turn it over. And then you hold it down like that, and then you pick it up with the fork, a little shake, and then we put it on the plate, and we start with the next one.
Okay, I think I know.
Got it?
I can do this. Ready?
All right. Pick it up, turn it over.
Give it a little shake.
Yep. It's kind of like you're going to the bathroom. If it's shoddy. Over here.
I know what I'm doing.
soft. Okay? Because if you do it too hard, all the breadcrumbs go flying all over the table or the counter. There you go. Perfect.
I think I can do this now, right?
All right. Okay, so here's a trick that really, if you don't want to get agita, and for those non-Italians, it means heartburn, to add a little bit of baking soda to the sauce, but you got to wait till it boils. So it's just at that boiling point right now. So we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and then you're going to see what happens. This is magical. Can you see it foam up? What it's doing is it's killing all of the acid within the sauce and any of the meat that you've added, and this will definitely make you enjoy your pasta and your sauce much more versus having agita or heartburn after you've enjoyed it. Quick tip, don't forget it, write it down. Okay, so now we're into the eggplant parmesan. So we've egged, breaded, and now we've baked it for at 350 degrees for 5 minutes. And then we're going to take it out, we're going to flip them over, and then put it back in for an additional 5 minutes. So these have already done for the first 5 minutes, as you can see here, and they crisp up. I flipped them over already. So now we're going to put them back in the oven, cook them for 5 additional minutes, and then we'll be ready to add them into our casserole dish with some sauce and cheese and layer it out just like a lasagna. And there you'll have your eggplant parmesan. All right, so now that we're done, we've prepared our eggplant. Just to do a quick recap here, we've sliced it, we've put it in a colander to drain, we've added salt between each layer, and we put a plate on top with water bottles to help pressurize and drain all the water out. Now you gotta let that sit for at least 3 to 4 hours, but overnight is best, in the refrigerator, of course. So now we've taken our eggplant, we've breaded it, and we've baked it on each side for 5 minutes. And now we're ready to start preparing our eggplant parmesan. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take and layer, and first you wanna liberally put enough sauce on the bottom so it doesn't burn. And then we're gonna layer the eggplant Then we're going to sprinkle some shredded Parmesan cheese. And some shredded mozzarella. And then we're going to add some more sauce on top of this and continue to build the layers, just like a lasagna. And then we're going to bake that in the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. And we'll see what we end up with. But I'll tell you what, it's smelling great in this kitchen right now. Wish you could smell it. Okay, so there we have it. We've layered it, put mozzarella, shredded Parmesan cheese between each layer, more sauce, another layer of eggplant, Parmesan, mozzarella, sauce, another layer of eggplant. Finish it off with some more mozzarella cheese and some fresh shredded Parmesan cheese. And now we're gonna put this in the oven, covered with tin foil. We're gonna bake it for about 35 to 40 minutes until that mozzarella is nice and bubbly. Then we'll remove the cover and we'll bake it for about another 5 minutes just to brown it up. And telling you, I wish you could smell it because it's smelling so damn good in here. All right, we'll catch you in a bit. Okay, I just forgot one thing I wanted to add to you to tell you about the sauce. A trick that I learned a long time ago from my aunt as a kid is to slice up a carrot and definitely cut it open. You want to open up the veins. This does a couple things. Number one, it gives a nice orangish red color to the sauce, but as well as it sweetens it. So try it, see if you like it. But my grandkids love this. They fight over the carrots and the sauce. So I'm just going to add those in, let those simmer with the sauce. Over here we're preparing our meats, and I've got Italian sausage, I've got boneless pork ribs, and I got some pork loin. And we're just going to add a little bit of garlic powder just to flavor it up a little bit. and a little onion powder. And a little black pepper. And the trick is we're not trying to cook the meat entirely here, we're just browning it. Just so that it's kind of pre-cooked to go into the sauce, and it adds an amount of flavor like you can't believe. And plus we're cooking off some of the fat here as well, so all of that fat doesn't go into the sauce. All right, we're almost there, we're almost done. Now as you can see here, we've got the boneless pork ribs, and as they're nice and brown, then we just add them to the sauce. Again, they're not fully cooked, they're just brown, and all those juices get seared inside, and those flavors will emulsify in the sauce and just add another level of richness to it. And then again, we just keep browning the sausage a little bit longer. These pork loins, they cook pretty fast. And again, the principle is we just want to brown them. And here's the finished product. You got eggplant parmigiana. You can still see the steam coming off. It smells so good. Okay, so whenever you have sauce, there's nothing like having fresh bread to dip and mop up the sauce with. But here's a loaf of French bread I made, and that'll be for a future video on bread making, but just wanted to share it with you. And you can hear how nice it's perfectly cooked. It's nice and hollow. What do you think, Luce? Everything come good? Thumbs up? Beautiful. Look at you, you're eating in there. Beautiful food. I hope you enjoyed this. If you got any questions, hit me up at chefjohn@home@gmail.com. That's CHEFJOHNATHOME@gmail.com. We'll talk to you soon.